champions of Belcamp, Maryland, when we return to the Brunswick World Team Bowling Challenge in just a few minutes.
It doesn't happen very often. Is the team that led the qualifying, Terry's Pro Shop, you see right here, finished 5th, and they finished well over 200 pins out of 3rd spot. Baker system gets tough.
It does indeed. And we're ready for our championship match, as it will be Trophies Unlimited going against Team Champion. Team Champion out of the Baltimore area, and Mike Wheeler to lead it off. Mike, 40 years old, works for Flex Technology as a printing plate maker.
This is a team that has a lot of experience bowling in major events, you might say. Some of them have PBA regional titles and things of that nature. So they have the edge in experience, quite obviously, over the very, very young team that Wayne Sheridan brought here to Harrisburg to compete in this tournament. When you look at their ages, it's just almost like they could be Wayne Sheridan's children compared to these guys. These guys, they've been around, they know how to play the game, and they know how to play under pressure. So it'll be a very interesting matchup.
They were 3rd in Baltimore in '94.
You see the deep breath here taken by number 16-year-old Tripp. I get them mixed up.
That's right.
They look alike. They look
sure
exactly
do.
alike.
This is Tripp, and he had 4 strikes in the first
You jinxed him,
match.
Jay.
Yeah, well, that's the first mistake he has made. He was the only player in the first match to have 4 strikes.
And really, not so much a bad shot as a bad break. He played it fairly safe, tried to keep the ball from going high in the head pin, and we'll show you that pin action again here maybe in a minute. Right now, he wants to slide that 4 across lane, and he just let it get away, and it's in the channel. Left 410, didn't get either one.
Here's the lineup, brought to you by Contour Power Grips, pioneers of the finger grip industry. More pros choose Contour Power Grips, and you should too. Team champions. Brian Beaver. And Beaver strikes. He's 26 years of age.
He's the captain of that team, Jay, and again, this is a very strong team. 3 of these guys bowl together normally in league, which is another advantage, you might say, because they know each other's games, they know how to help each other adjust to the varying lane conditions.
Scott Jackson has it on the way, and he leaves the 7th. We talked about the hospitality here. Jack and Lillian Bauer have been the cornerstone of bowling in this area. They're bowling centers, 3 of them in the area since about 1958. The Bauer family really do so much for the sport in the Susquehanna Valley. And a mistake there.
Well, we'll see a lot of those early on in this match, I'm sure, in the first game. It's kind of like get your feet wet. Remember, this is a 2-game total pin match. Each team will bowl a full game on their respective lane here, 43, lanes 43 and 44. And the idea here is to pay attention to the other team, watch how their ball reacts, make sure that when you make the adjustment in the other lanes, you have some idea where to play those. And everybody's a little different in how they play the game, and this guy right here plays it a little different than most.
Lee Brocious, 44-year-old government worker, comes from a bowling family. His dad was 2nd in the 1953 Masters.
This guy, take a look at his footwork when we go up here. We get a chance, and we'll show you he's got a tennis shoe on his right foot, a bowling shoe on his left. And the idea here is, he says, I don't like to slip. He says, I wear this everywhere I bowl. I push hard into my release point, and I want that foot not to slip. And I guess as long as you don't leave a residue on the approach that might bother the other bowlers, that's okay.
John Beasley is next up for Trophies Unlimited.
John needs to get this team going, and he needs to get them going early here. They don't want to let that other team get out in front because he may not catch up. And that's how you do it right there.
A big strike for the fellas from Richmond, Virginia. We've got some wonderful prizes to pass out to the champions. Who will it be? Team champions or Trophies Unlimited? We'll be back right after this.
Take on the world in official World Team Challenge apparel by Sturgeon Bay. This striking shirt is 100% cotton and double-stitched. Or choose this long-sleeve 90% cotton piqué sweatshirt. Available in a wide variety of colors. Shirt and sweatshirt both feature the World Team Challenge logo and the ABC or WIBC logo. Made in the USA by Sturgeon Bay, the choice of the World Team Challenge. Order by mail or call today, 1-800-420-WTBC. Looking for more strikes and more bowling fun? Then look no further than Going for the Gold with Team USA coach Fred Borden. As today's top instructor, Coach Borden will show you ways to reach your full potential. Professional bowlers Mike Albee and Leila Wagner work with Coach Borden to show you the sure way to higher scores. This 12-lesson video is available for only $24.95.
The Omega Grand Prix of match racing spurs two classic opponents, man against nature.
The World Championship this week on Prime.
It's time to jam.
Can you dig it?
The Gamecocks come to Gainesville. Tenneyhill's Groin, but the Gators rule those Roosters. It's South Carolina at Florida. Saturday at 12:30 Eastern, live on Prime.
And back here at the ABC West Lanes, Vice President of the operation, Daryl Bauer, been on the PBA tour, of course. They've got 3 marketing people working in the Susquehanna Valley, making sales calls to local businesses, and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania recognizes bowling as a therapeutic recreation for all ages. They have an in-school bowling program that helps, and they introduced bumper bowling into the area. The Bauer family, brother Gary Bauer, also part of the team here, and you saw Jack and Lillian Bauer earlier. They do a tremendous job, and we thank Jim Shelley, manager of ABC West, for all his help here this week. And that shot comes up just a little short from Carl Schmidt. Carl is 33 years of age. Also works at Flex Technology in the Baltimore area. Owns 1 PBA regional title.
Try to get this across the lane, get it across the head pin, slide it in the 10, doesn't quite get enough of it.
And here's Wayne Sheridan. I should mention that the winning team will get $3,000, the Grand Championship package, the Brunswick bowling balls, the Lynn shoes, the rings, the Sponsors Award, their airline tickets to the Grand Championship in Reno, and a shot at that projected $150,000 prize fund. Our Grand Championship July 16th through the 19th of '95 at the National Bowling Stadium in Reno. Lynn Shoes doing a tremendous job along with Brunswick in promoting this World Team Bowling Challenge. Trophies Unlimited with a slight lead. Talked about those rings. Boy, they are outstanding. What a nice gift.
They are. They're beautiful rings, and as most of the things you can get from the American Bowling Congress are.
Yes.
Do a fine job.
That was Bruce Holland. He's a project manager with Flex Technology. Wheeler, Schmidt, and Holland all working for that company. This fellow's bowled on the national tour on occasion.
Well, he's got a bunch of 300 games, and he's bowled a lot of pressure matches in the past, so I don't expect Bruce Holland to have any problem when it comes down to the 10th frame. If his team needs him, he'll be there.
And here is Kip Roberts. Kip, the 24-year-old anchor man for Trophies Unlimited.
I'll bet his little brother looks up to him, huh? You think Tripp doesn't look up to Kip and say, hey, show me how to play this game, big brother?
They're two fine young people, I'll tell you. Their parents can be very proud of them.
Only the 4-pin. Well, that's once through the lineup for everybody, Jay, and now we're ready to go here. Ready to rumble, as they say, and once we get it going through the lineup, once everybody seems to relax and their true talent starts to show, and that's when we can expect to maybe see some better shots and maybe some strikes.
And he picks it up. Trophies Unlimited up by 10.
Still anybody's match, obviously. This 2 games, remember, 2 games total pins to decide the champion, and the winner goes to Reno.
Here's Mike Wheeler. A lot of lift and loft in that shot, and
good observation, Jay. Maybe a little too much lift and loft there. It looked like it kind of hung up on his hand. You could actually hear it. If you were listening closely, you could hear it pop off his thumb. So it's almost like he was squeezing that ball a little bit, didn't come off his hand cleanly, and it almost always will hook early and go left if that happens. Try to cover the 3 and the 6.
And he does. And now here is Trip Roberts. Goes to school in Richmond at Douglas Freeman High School. You have to get special dispensation from your parents, a special letter to bowl this kind of event at this age, but bowl very well he has.
Well, he's got great fundamentals, Jay.
Yeah. Want to also thank Bob Hafer right there, the veteran newspaper man, writes bowling for the Harrisburg Patriot. He's been very helpful, and what a job he does in his weekly column here. Trophies Unlimited, leading by 12. We'll be right back. And Trophies Unlimited by 12 while we were away. Beaver with a strike and Scott Jackson with a spare. And now here is Lee Brocious.
Takes those, for a tall man, takes kind of short steps, tilts a little bit forward from the waist, and if he's not careful, has a tendency to get the ball down early. Got that one well out in front of him. Looks like a good shot.
And
solid 10.
10 is there. Lee has a couple of PBA regional titles to his credit.
Take another look at that shot from behind, and you can see the short steps he takes right there, and then watch him. He tilts forward and then pulls his shoulders back. But if he can do it consistently, that's fine. And he leaves the kind of like what they call the half 10, where the ball doesn't quite get enough of the head pin to kick out the 10. Cross lane at the spare. Look out. And he covered it.
Bespeckled John Beasley. Looking down at those pins.
Does that mean he wears glasses?
That means he wears glasses.
Okay. You had me lost. Just checking. All right. John's the man to get him going. He did it last time. He's got to do it again, and he's got the talent for it. Let's see if he can do it twice in a row.
Yes.
He has to set the table for people like Wayne Sheridan to follow him. And here's another look at it. You can see he gets tremendous rotation. Break point right there. A little bit high in the head pin, but the ball was driving so hard, everything went straight back.
Here's Carl Schmidt.
Carl got that one out in no man's land, outside the second arrow. You get it outside the second arrow, and generally, because there aren't many people playing out there, there's an oil buildup. And because of that, the ball won't grip the lane, and it tends to slide right on by, which that one did. And he leaves the 1, 2, 4, 7, and this is a tough spare. You want to get all 4 of these pins with the ball if you can. Hit the left side of the head pin, let the ball run right down the rail. Just like that.
A nice pickup.
Here's another look at that, and watch the ball. It hits the left side of the pin and just follows him right on down, and that's just about as good as you can do it. Now let's watch this old man try to make a double for his team. Wayne Sheridan. Yeah, he had a little problem with his approach there. Crossed it over, leaving only the 5-pin.
Trophies Unlimited trying to come from the number 3 spot to win this championship and get the trip to Reno.
And who would have thought it, Jay, with all the kids they got on the team? And, you know, maybe Wayne's been a very settling and calming influence on these young guys. He's kept them loose.
Well, this match is far from over.
It's far from over, and I noticed in match play earlier in the day that he was back there kind of relaxed, and the kids would come back to him and say, okay, Pops, and okay, Dad, here we go. So he was the man that got him going and kept him in the matches.
Trophies Unlimited up by 16. Bruce Holland has it on the way. Down they go.
He's the guy they're going to depend on when they need him in the 10th frame, and they're going to be the team that finishes on the right-hand lane, which means he'll finish last as far as this total pin 2-game match is concerned, and they may need him to throw a couple of strikes when it comes down to that.
He was the winner of the 1990 PBA Resident Pro Championship,
which is one of the major events for the players that aren't touring players, of course, and that's a real feather in his cap that he won that tournament, because that's guys that don't bowl all the time professionally. And you can see he knows how to play this game. He's been there a while, and I talked to him earlier, and he's playing between that second, third arrow, and he said he likes the shot. He feels it's a pretty good shot for the left-handers, and he feels if he can get to the foul line consistently, he can make good shots, and he should be able to throw some strikes.
Well, he's trying to strike out here.
And he'll give his team some sort of a lead going into that second game, but as we say time after time, when we play the Baker system, a lot of things can happen.
A superb finish in this first game of the championship match. Great job there. And now here's Kip Roberts. Right back.
Comes right back. Big shot for his team. That puts him in the lead regardless of what happens now going into that second game, and possibility to add 10 more pins onto that 6-pin lead that they have right at this point.
This young fella, 24 years old, he's got a nice demeanor. He doesn't seem to be bothered by anything. He's just having a good time.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll be willing to bet if you had something on that was measuring his pulse rate right now, it'd be going about 120.
Yeah, he's probably...
he looks calm and collected, but and
not
he can
inside.
He handles it very well, but
yeah,
it's,
he really
it's
does.
in there. The 2 and the 8. He'll throw almost a strike line on this. Just move his feet a couple of boards to the right and let the ball hook up into the 2-pin. The ball should take out the 8. And it didn't, but it was close. He doesn't believe it, but we do, right, Jay?
Yes, indeed. And trophies unlimited. Up by 5. We'll be back for the Brunswick World Team Challenge in a moment. Here we go to the final game of this championship match. Only 5 pins separating these two teams, and the youngster Trip Roberts starts it off.
Oh, lost his balance a little bit. The ball kind of fell off his hand, but almost got the job done. And Trip there, you can see he's had a little problem with the sliding foot. He's checking out the sole. Let's take a look at it again and let's watch the slide here. You can see the heel stops right there. He loses his balance. Actually was slipping and then caught himself with the heel to keep him going over the foul line. Look at the pinfall. Almost got the head pin to kick everything over into that 10. Cross lane for the spare, and he covers it. Having a little problem with his shoes. He's checking it out there, but I'm sure he'll be just fine. He only has one more opportunity to help his team, Jay. It's getting late.
Here is Mike Wheeler. Mike, who has a league average of 218. Team champion, qualified with a 195.8, and their Baker average was a 194.2. Up a little short.
And that was problems. Just as he let go, you could see it was going to be problems. He got the ball well down the lane, in the air, basically. A lot of end-over-end roll, so it never had a chance to get up out of that oil that's on the outside of the lane. He left the 1-2-8-10. The idea here, of course, again, is to cross the ball on the left side of the head pin. Ball will take out the 2-8. The head pin take out the 10. Just like that.
Oh, boy.
Very casual about it. Piece of cake, right? Here's another look at it. Watch the head pin go to the channel. Got plenty of it, though, enough to get enough on it to get it up out of the channel and kick out the 10.
And that shot right there should ignite team champion Scott Jackson.
Scott's had his problems. Here he comes back. You never know what Scott's going to do.
Well, that strike came at a very opportune time.
All right, this team, for some reason, Team Champion looks kind of down. They don't look like they're really into this match, like they're pumped up like you'd expect them to be. They're 5 pins down going into this second game, but like we say, you know, this is a long way to go, another full game here, and they're on the lane they decided they wanted to finish on. Remember, the team that qualifies highest in the standings gets their choice of finishing or starting lane, whichever you want to say. And I prefer to call it finishing lane because they chose to start on the left, which means they would finish on the right, which means their anchor man, their bowler who bowls 5th, who is Bruce Holland, will be the guy that'll finish the match.
And Brian Bieber, who works for Champion Bowling Products, 26 years of age. He's got a problem here.
Well, he wants to get just enough of the 3-pin to slide it into the 4 and didn't do it. Tough shot. Well, things aren't looking real good right now for Team Champion. The kids are hanging in there, and here's a guy that keeps throwing those strikes.
John Beasley.
Oh, got that one got away from him a little bit, and another washout. The 1, 2, 8, 10 again. We've seen this plenty of times tonight. And it seems to me like all the players are having a little problem with the approach on the left-hand lane, and plus their timing. Of course, as they move from lane to lane, the lanes are different. They have to make adjustments. And here again, the washed out, he wants to get the ball to the left side of the head pin, and the ball will take out the 2-8. The head pin hopefully will hit the 10. Too much of the head pin, leaves the 10. It's so important to make the adjustments as you go from one lane to the other, and it doesn't seem like either team is lined up quite yet.
Lee Brocious for Team Champions. And those 2 shoes, Earl, that you talked about earlier.
Yeah, I think he's looking for some kind of a sponsorship from one of the tennis shoe companies. Well, he got the job almost done.
7 is standing.
He got the 5-pin going left, but not quite enough of it to get it into the 7. So he leaves the 7, an easy spare for him. He'll go across lane at this, use a lot of the lane. And Lee, of course, is a good spare shooter. I don't expect him to have any problems with this.
This match going right to the wire. Pins, the lead for Trophies Unlimited. And here is their leader,
Father Sheridan.
Yep.
Father Sheridan.
The senior member of the squad.
By far. Well, he got a little bit of a break there. Wayne high on the head pin, left to 4-7. Wayne, one of the few players you'll see nowadays that doesn't switch bowling balls to shoot his spares. He uses the same ball, and that's going back to the old school where most guys only had 1 or 2 bowling balls back in the 60s and 70s when they bowled, and they didn't switch balls for the spares.
Times have changed.
He'll just go up there and kill the ball with his wrist and make it go straight and pick up the spare.
Here's Carl Schmidt. This fella once rolled back-to-back 300 games. Big strike there for Schmidt. Team Champion and Trophies Unlimited locked in a dandy match here. And now it is Kip Roberts, the anchor man for Trophies Unlimited.
This match, you keep saying it's a good one, Jay, and it is. It could come down to Kip and Bruce. Who can perform in the 10th frame. It could very well come to that.
There's brother Tripp looking on.
Yeah, saying, what the heck's the matter with you? I can get up there and get a strike. What's the matter with Big Brother here? Well, the idea is to fill those frames, and we keep saying that over and over again, and it's so important, especially at this time in a 2-game match, getting into those last few frames. Cross lane at the 6-10. And he did it. And here we go. Let's see what this guy can do now. Not nearly as important right now as it might be later, but this would be a big help if he could strike here, Jay. And this is the guy that can do it. Bruce Holland, one of the premier left-handed amateur bowlers around.
Come on, come on.
Now that shot will build some confidence for when he stands up there with maybe the match on the line. You can see he's fired up. We'll return with more exciting Brunswick World Team Bowling Challenge action from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania in a moment. While we were away, 16-year-old Trip Roberts, a strike for Trophies Unlimited, and Mike Wheeler coming right back for team champion with a strike, and we are going down to the end in this one. Team champion up by 13. Here's Scott Jackson.
Well, he let that one get away from him a little bit, Jay, and it looked like he was out of time going to the foul line. Just rushed it a little bit. Ball crossed over, left the 5-8, and this is a tough spare for a left-hander. It's pretty easy to chop that 5 off the 8, and there's, like I said in the past about other spares, it's a lot of ways to make it and a lot of ways to miss it. So you really want to get both pins with the ball if you can. Fit it between the 5 and the 8. Be careful.
Oh boy.
And there's a good illustration of you don't have to throw a lot of ball or hook it a lot to cover a spare. All you have to do is hit it. And by throwing the big hook, you just lose control of the ball.
Big, strong Brian Beaver.
Brian's the captain of this team, and he's put together a pretty strong squad here.
Oh boy.
And as so often happens, one team makes a big error or mental error and the other team gives it right back. And so that's the reason these matches stay so close. Here the 2-4-10, and this makeable, very makeable. Idea to get the ball again on the left side of the 2-pin. Ball will take out the 4. The 2-pin should slide across and take out the 10. Good try. Almost got it. Players have to start thinking about pin count. As if the match is this tight, it gets down to these final few frames, and you start looking at these splits where you've got 3 or 4 pins standing. You might consider just picking up 1 or 2 of the pins and not gambling on missing all of them, which can make the difference and decide the outcome of this match when it's just a few pins apart at this point.
Trophies Unlimited. John Beasley. 12 pins separating these two teams right now, and the 10 is standing down there for him.
Well, the thing for these kids to be thinking right now, and I'm sure Wayne is thinking this in his mind, he's been around long enough, Wayne Sheridan, the captain of their team, the kids on the left there right now, John Beasley and his squad, should be thinking, we don't have to strike, but we do have to fill frames, because if we're trying to strike, we put too much pressure on ourselves. Let's fill the frames. We're going to finish this match first. The other team has to fill frames to match us. If they make one mistake, they're going to lose this match. So let's fill frames. Don't worry about strikes. They'll come if they can, but let's just get the spares.
Lee Brocious, 4-team champion. And the 10 wouldn't go down.
And every shot so crucial right now. That was a great shot by Lee Brocious, and the solid 10-pin. Again, fill the frames. Any mistake at all could make the difference between going to Reno and just and all those wonderful prizes you named, Jay, from Lynn Shoes and the rings from the American Bowling Congress. And you see a little strategy session
going on. The Roberts brothers talking it over there.
That's right.
I'm sure the youngster talking to his older brother.
And the old man's taking a nap right there. See, Wayne? I'm just joking. He's not really. But
all right, Brocious picks up the spare. And
right
here
now,
is Wayne Sheridan.
Right now, Wayne has got to make sure he doesn't do anything silly like hitting the middle of the head pin. If anything, he wants to have the ball light in the pocket. So he's probably going to move a little bit right with his feet, up the speed of the ball, try to keep it left of the head pin. 12
pins, the difference.
And he crossed it over.
Oh, boy.
Made a liar out of me, didn't he? You know, he told me earlier, Jay, before we started the telecast, I was talking to him, watching their team in match play. He said, you know, don't be surprised if I get a couple of crossovers. He says, it's been a good hit for me throughout the tournament. He says, I just let the ball run and it crosses over and I carry.
Carl Schmidt has it on the way. All right.
And he answers, and we still are within a mark. We are within a mark going into the 10th frame. Now it comes down to the anchor men.
And it's Kip Roberts, team champions, leading by 12.
And really, he has to get a strike here to put some pressure on his opposition, on Bruce Holland. A strike would really be big right now for his team. And he rolled it well, Jay.
And
what a bad break. What a terrible break.
Well, I tell you, these young fellas for Trophies Unlimited disappointed there. That looked like it was going to get the job done.
Well, it's not over.
No.
Bruce Holland still needs a mark to win this thing, but make the spare, get all the pins you can on the count ball. Count again, so important. This still only a 12-pin match, and the idea is to get the strike here, and let's see what happens. You never know. Watch the head pin on this replay. Watch the head pin. Go to the sideboards. Watch what happens to the 4-pin, the second pin from the left. Comes off the wall, hits it, and it gets tangled up with the 5-pin and stands up. It should have fell.
It was a heartbreaker.
99 out of 100 times, that's a strike. Could be the difference between whether they go to Reno or not. Just that one shot.
Well, it's a disappointed Kip Roberts. And now, Bruce Holland.
Well, his team had faith in his ability in the 10th frame. That's why they chose to finish on the right-hand lane. Let's see what he can do when his team needs him. He must mark.
Carries a league average of 242.
Oh, my. It looks high. Crossed it over and carried it.
Well, that'll do it. Team champions from the Baltimore area come through.